This is Brad. He's a campus pastor at Crossroads. Before Crossroads, Brad spent 5 years in the funeral business. So we had him dust off his dark suit and asked him some questions.
We had so many requests from family members of, can my loved one be buried with this or with that? And can we put it in the casket? And so there's things from like a 6-pack of beer to Dad always had a cigar, and if people come in and don't see him with a cigar, so we'd put the cigar in the finger. But we had a lady come in, she was buried with her dog, Rat Rat. I mean, that was the name of the dog, Rat Rat. And the reason I remember it, not so much the name, although you will never forget a dog named Rat Rat, but she was buried with her dog, and we had a number of animals or pets who were cremated, and so the person said, hey, when I'm buried, will you put their urn, will you put their ashes in with them? They wanted that. Well, this family said Mom wanted her dog with her, and what we didn't realize is that Rat Rat had died a year earlier, and Rat Rat was never embalmed, was never prepared for burial, except for by her, wrapped up in plastic and put in her freezer. And so the family brought in a dog, Rat Rat, who'd been dead for a year, and we kind of just tucked him really snug down there at the very bottom with around her feet, and remembered wrapping it with a lot more plastic than it came with. I mean, crazy, crazy stuff.
So if my wife had her way, our dog would also be wrapped in plastic in the freezer probably right now. My name is Brad. If we haven't met before, it's really good to be here with you guys. Welcome to Crossroads. We're going to be finishing up our Heaven, Hell, and Here series tonight. And then also we're going to be doing some baptisms. No, that is not a dunk tank. That's for baptisms. And so we're just going to get started. How about you guys stand with me, and we're going to sing some songs together to get started.
Between us, by the cross you came and broke them down. Yes. Well, hey guys, welcome to Crossroads Westside. My name is Matt Castleman. I'm the pastor here. That song is all about moving from a place of death into a place of life, celebrating the life that God has to offer, and that is what this tub down here represents as well. Surrendering ourselves, saying, I want less of me and more of you, God. I want to follow you. I want to move out of death and into life. And so in a moment, we will be seeing people go under the water down here to follow Jesus more closely. But before we do that, we're gonna hear some stories from people in our community who have made that same decision. So why don't you have a seat and have a listen.
My dad took me to church every Sunday, and I wasn't in it for any deep reason. I just did it because Dad said so.
I was in and out of church. I would probably go on Christmas and Easter, and I would be there physically, but I really wouldn't be there.
Even though I grew up as a Christian, I did not have a personal relationship.
When I was 10 days old, my dad was diagnosed with brain cancer, and when I was 16 months old, he passed away. Whenever people pray and they say, "Hey, Dad," I never really caught on to what that meant or what that felt like.
And when people would talk about Jesus and how, I've got him walking next to me, or I've got him helping me, I'm his hands and feet, that kind of creeped me out, because I was like, no, that's too Jesus-y, you know what I mean? I mean, that's just not my deal.
I moved to Hawaii, and I was living with people with all different type of religions from all over from around the world. I was living in paradise. But internally, things weren't right.
I was engaged at the time, thought I was gonna get married, and then that fell apart and just really fell into like a big depression because I lost my job at the same time.
I fell away from my faith, and I really stepped back from what it meant to be a follower.
Spiritually speaking, I've been across the board. God is love, God is light. They call it the Enlightenment, the New Age. I was opening myself up to things that wasn't godly.
Last spring, a really good friend of mine from high school passed away. He lived his life for God, and I knew that. Even though I wasn't really close to or had a relationship with God at the time, I knew he devoted his life to that. So the only thing I knew to do after that was to just, I knew I had to go to church the next day.
Almost exactly a year ago, I started seeing this woman, Elizabeth. She took me to a Weighted, and it wrecked me.
A coworker invited me to Crossroads and was like, hey, why don't you come to young adults and just come meet some people who are following God at this church. That's when I really recommitted to Christ and God and community, friendships, and really put God first.
Even though I feel like I don't deserve it sometimes, I feel like I have Jesus' love with me every step of the way, and that's a feeling that got magnified every time I came back here.
I prayed about what my next step would be, and they said it's time to get baptized. And then the next Sunday it was announced. So it was just perfect.
Coming out of that water, I just want that to be a moment where I mark it as, okay, now, Jesus, my heart is all yours, my life is yours. I am free from the person I used to be.
Giving my life to God, and every single day the rest of my life, I'm gonna be living my life for Jesus.
That's what happens when you walk into the water. You walk in with a past, and you walk in with sin and hurt and anger, and you come out of that water a new person.
And so for me, getting baptized is like that victory moment, claiming victory over that battle that I've been facing.
I can't imagine my life without Jesus, without his help, without his guidance. And it's me standing up and saying, I'm his.
It's scary, but it's also so beautiful.
Never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love. Stand with us and sing, let's celebrate. In life, I'm confident and covered by the power of your great love. never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Your love. Let's sing this together. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love.
Created from dust, you came and you lived among us. You took on our shame, you walked in our pain. Now you're taking us higher. You stepped into time. You laid down your life to save us. You took on our shame. On the cross it was laid. Now you're taking us higher. We go from glory to glory. We'll never be the same. We'll never be the same. We go from glory to glory to glory. We're forever changed, forever changed. You called me your friend, brought into your endless kingdom. By the blood I was made, no longer a slave. Now you're taking us higher. We go from glory to glory to glory. We'll never be the same. We'll never be the same. We go from glory to glory to glory. We're forever changed, forever changed. Let's sing until we reach that day. Until we reach that day, love conquers everything. We'll cry an anthem singing, holy, holy. And when we see that day, we're standing face to face. We'll shout an anthem singing, holy, oh, until we reach that day. Love conquers everything. We'll cry an anthem singing, holy, holy. And when we see that day, we're standing face to face. We'll shout an anthem singing, holy, holy. You took on the grave, so not even death can shake us. The victor has come, and heaven has come. Now you're taking us higher. Now you're taking us higher. We go from glory to glory to glory. We'll never be the same. Never be the same. You take us higher, higher, higher. We're forever changed, forever changed. And sing we go
that you're pleasing, that I never long. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. And I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but we're all searching for answers. Only you provide us. You know just what we need before you say a word. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. To us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. To us. Love so undeniable. Love so undeniable. I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable. I can hardly think as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love. Love, love, you're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Lift your voice. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. Perfect in all of your ways. To us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. To us. Good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. Who I am. Who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. God, you are such a good, good, good Father. Thank you for the honor, the privilege to stand here and watch our friends proclaim to everyone around them that they are your children. Thank you so much for that privilege, God. We love you and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Westside, thanks for worshiping with us. You guys sound amazing, look fantastic. If you would just take a second as you're sitting down and turn around and tell someone that they look beautiful. Shake their hand and you can have a seat.
Will someone tell me I look beautiful even though I peed my pants, apparently? My goodness. If peeing your pants is cool, then I'm Miles Davis. You know that movie. There it is. You can stay out here. No, you can stay all night. One and done. That's all I got. No, Westside, how we feeling? Yes. My goodness. If you're new, you're like, what is going on? People are getting splashed down front. People in turkey hats out in the parking lot. We aren't afraid of a little rain, are we? Are we, Westside? Are we afraid? No. We can deliver Thanksgiving meals in the rain and with wet pants too. So today, if you are new, you should know what's inside of those boxes. It's a ton of food, literally tons of food. We are feeding over 115,000 people through Thanksgiving Food Drive here locally, and 90,000 pounds of food going over to South Africa. And Westside, I gotta tell you, in case you didn't know, last weekend we totally ran out of boxes. So we ran out of boxes, and not only ran out of boxes, we found more that we didn't go through last year, and we gave all those out too. So we are exceeding expectations. We're gonna feed some people, whether they like it or not. They're gonna get some food coming to them. And I'm thankful for being on that same team that's having such an impact in our community with you guys. Speaking of Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving is right around the corner, coming up this Thursday, I believe. And here on the West Side, we have a tradition called Thanksgiving Eve service. It's the eve before Thanksgiving, so that's this Wednesday. And it is an awesome time to escape the chaos of the holidays, to find gratefulness in the grind, to find meaning in the madness. And so this Wednesday, you want to be here. You want to bring a friend, bring your family, and it's going to be a sweet time for music, a short message, and childcare is available. So 0 through 5, you can put them in childcare. Anything older than that, bring them into service with you. It starts at 7. There's going to be communion, and it's going to be sweet. Just learn how to be thankful in the midst of all the chaos. Yes, I'll clap. I'll clap for that. So, when you come for Thanksgiving Eve, you might notice something a little different. You might notice that the building has been Christmasified. Christmas is right around the corner, and our Christmas decorations will be up in the atrium. That's because next weekend starts our brand new Christmas series called Rediscover the Wonder. You know, it's funny how in a season of silent night, the night is anything but silent. It is anything but tender and still and quiet. When it's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year, oftentimes it's the most stressful time of the year. And so we crafted this series that starts next weekend to help us slow down and experience the transcendent life that God offers us, that's filled with purpose and meaning in the midst of all of the expectations and burdens we might feel here now. The expectations of what gift to give, what gift to get, what party we get to go to, which parties we have to go to. And so this new series will help us rediscover the wonder of the reason for the season. So check that out. And around here, Christmas time also means Awaited. Awaited is right around the corner. Our traditional Christmas story retold in a creative and new, meaningful way. Tickets fly off the shelves for this, so you don't want to hesitate. Tickets go on sale. They're free, by the way, but go on sale this Tuesday at 10 a.m. You can go to awaitedshow.com to get your tickets either for the Mason production or the Oakley production, and it runs all throughout December. So check that out. Well, right now we have a time to be generous where we pull our resources together to help fuel the things God is calling us to. And if you're new around here, no pressure, let the bag pass you by. We're just glad you're here checking us out. But if you are on the team, you can drop cash or check in the bag, or you can go to crossroads.net/give to give electronically and recurring. And I just have to say, for me, one of my favorite things that I get to do every single month, I get a list of new givers, people who have just started giving, and that list is long, and I get to write letters to them, and I get to pray for them, and there's so many sacrificial givers on this team. It's just an honor to be on that same team with you to help fuel what God is calling us to. And our generosity helps impact lives. It also helps impact marriages through the Real Marriage Group. And you might not know this, but Crossroads is in 4 different penitentiaries across the state, soon to be 8 this coming year. And they're doing real marriage in the prison system. When one spouse is out and another spouse is in, we're reuniting spouses together. And so we're gonna take a look at a video. The quality is pretty low, so just a heads up, because it's hard to get recording devices into prison, but I think the story is very meaningful. Check it out.
First, it was important because it gave me a sense of freedom. You know what I'm saying? It let me feel like I was on the other side for a couple hours. You know what I'm saying? Like I actually got to have a real life moment with my wife.
It gives me a sense of forgiveness because me as a prison wife, I tend to think of things, why he can't call me, or why he can't do that, or why he can't do that, or why does it have to happen that way. Me being in here, I understand more, so it gave more sympathy and more empathy to our marriage, and it helps us understand each other more, being in 2 separate worlds and coming together for a couple of hours.
Praying together is something that we don't do, and something that I think would help our relationship a lot.
Like we got our little pot holder. Did you bring it? We got our pot holders, and this was one of the tips, and I think it's going to help our relationship a lot. A simple pot holder, who knew? But it'll work.
For her to take out time to come up here, I'm proud of her because she did this for me and our love, so our love could continue to grow.
Seeing the learning going on with them and seeing those kind of aha moments was big.
They were just so genuine and open and appreciative of the work that we were doing, and it ended up being more of a blessing to us than I think it was for them.
I just wish the folks could see what I see. The folks that are outside these gates could see what I see in the men that I've gotten to know here. And just, it's hard to describe. And the power and the strength of their lives. And just what a witness that they are still hanging in there with their husbands after having a husband that's been incarcerated for 3 or 4 years and still being faithful. It just blew me away. It was incredible. I continue to get blown away there, seeing what I see.
Man, can't handle all these tears today. Baptisms and that, my gosh, to be able to be bringing hope to people who are serving our justice system and serving their time, and yet getting other chances from God is really, really remarkable. We're in 4 prisons. 4 prisons Crossroads is in, where people are meeting and part of our church. And this next year, we want to take that from 4 to 8. We want to double. We want to accelerate the number of prisons and people that we're in impacting. And one of the ways we do that, last December, we had a really rough December last December financially. For whatever reason, our year-end giving, which the way it normally is, did not come in last year. I don't know what happened. We're still kind of all scratching our heads, but it really put us in a hole and trying to figure out how to make this next year work. And I just remind you, for those of us who are in a Crossroads, just remember your church. If you get excited about things like that, those need to be funded. If you're in a Crossroads, you've made an I'm in commitment to a campaign that we have to give above and beyond what we've given or we've committed normally for 3 years. And I just encourage you to accelerate your commitments. Help us make this end of year really impactful to set our church up to continue to bless and help people all over the place in the process. I think you'll feel the pleasure of God. I really will. So let's pray before we get into this, okay? God, you're so patient with us. I look at those guys up in prison. I mean, a number of things that I've done that require justice is too much to count. And I thank you that you're a forgiving God. And I thank you that you're a just God. And I thank you that you also are a God who rewards. You reward and you give great things. And I want us to see that today. And I want us to live that way today. So help that to happen and help me to be clear. And I pray these things according to the character and identity of Jesus. Amen. Well, I've been living for over 30 years. For over 30 years, I've been living future focused. And that's what I want to help you do today. I want to help you live future focused. That's what this whole series has been about, getting us out of the sort of the mundane of the life we're in right now and getting forward into the future, way, way into the future. If this is your first time last week to Crossroads, man, welcome back. Amazing that you came back after Hell Week. My gosh, if you came to Hell Week, I think you'll find that today is a bit less painful than Hell Week was last week, but nonetheless, it's going to be challenging nonetheless because I want to sort of elevate our game. I want us to get out of the American consumeristic mindset that focuses on this pay period or this month or this earnings quarter or even this decade or even this lifetime. I want us to think about on into the future, even when our heart stops beating. What happens there? I want us to be future focused. And when I came into a relationship with Christ when I was around 15, 16 years old, my future focus started at that moment. And I've been growing in my ability to focus on the future versus the present and the past. And I want to try to help you do that today. The big idea today is this. You can have either a worldly focus or you can have an eternity focus. You can either focus on the things that you see in the world right here, right now, your accounts, your kids, your body, your house, your car, your aspirations, your future, on this world, on your street. You can either focus on those things, being appreciated, be loved by other people, being approved by other people. Or you can focus on eternal things. You can focus on things where God will approve of you. You can focus on things that you'll be glad you did today. You'll be glad you did that thing forever and ever and ever. You can focus on doing things that will actually give you rewards and blessings beyond the current pay period, beyond the quarterly earnings report, and even actually beyond our lifetime. It's important, believe it or not, for us to think about death every once in a while. It is. It's important for us to realize that the death rate is hovering right around 100%. And you and I can be focused on everything that happens right here in this world, on this planet, in this time period. We can focus on these things, and when they're over, boom, they're over. Or we can focus on things that are right here that are actually going to live on into the future, on and on and on. I would like to say it's not a bad idea for you to think about death. It's a reality. It's going to come. I hope it doesn't come for me for quite some decades, but if it comes to me with the bus this next week, I'm ready. I'm ready. I've been future focused on that time for over 30 years. In a Roman triumph where they would have a reigning general or an emperor of Rome get glory, the kind of future glory that they would give there in that time period, they would get worldly glory by having them go through the streets and all the people throwing flowers and singing praises to that general or that emperor, and they would have in that Roman triumph someone in the back of the chariot that would whisper in his ears nonstop, remember, you're going to die. Remember, you're going to die. Remember, you're going to die. To keep that person grounded. We are going to be in the ground someday. We are going to be there, and that does not have to be the end of us. Philosophy is really taken a weird turn in our current times. Philosophy as we know it now, most of us practice or understand philosophy as sort of the practice of nothingness. The discipline of dismantling spirituality, the discipline of dismantling religion, the discipline of being a contrarian. Many people who are into philosophy use it that way, but really the philosophy art was practiced in all of the ancient times, which was to give you a way to live your life that worked. That's really what philosophy is. It's not to just deconstruct everything that's going around. It's to give you an outlook on life that would work. One such outlook that isn't talked about much today is Stoicism. We don't even know what Stoicism is. We tend to just review somebody who has no emotions as being very stoic. Stoicism is much more deeper and in some ways more helpful than that. One of the things of Stoicism is to help you have joy in your current life right now by being able to remember that you will die. It's called memento mori. It's the practice, memento mori, Latin, which is the practice of reflecting on your death. And in doing so, you can realize this day's a gift right now. I'm alive right now. I actually get the opportunity to live my life right now. Here's what it says on the website, The Daily Stoic. Meditating on your mortality is only depressing if you miss the point. It is in fact a tool to create priority and meaning. It's a tool that generations have used to create real perspective and urgency, to treat our time as a gift and not waste it on the trivial and vain. Death doesn't make life pointless, but rather purposeful. As I hear people murmur, because we hear in our culture death, we're death, I can't talk about death, no, don't want to hear it, block it out of my mind. No, it's real. And that's part of our future, and we should be living for that future. Jesus said so himself. Jesus said that we should pick up our cross every day and follow him. Picking up our cross is not an idea of, well, we all got our cross to bear. I've got my bad back, and you've got the zits on your nose, and you got your mother-in-law. So we've all got our cross to bear. That's not what Jesus was talking about. He was saying that you should be ready to die at any moment. Good, I'm ready. Go on, chop, chop, let's go. In fact, you should be so willing to, you would carry around your means of execution, lay down your life for that which is eternal, that which is glorious, that which is in the future. That was a philosophy that he tried to infuse in all of us who would count ourselves as followers of Jesus. Embrace death. Look forward to the future. Prepare for your future. Jonathan Edwards is understood to be, by many, the greatest thinker that America has ever produced. He was the first, I believe he was the first president of Princeton University, or maybe it was Princeton College back in the 1700s at that point. A very, very, very smart guy, and had also a vibrant relationship with God. And as he went on in his life, he would make these commitments about his future, and he would write them down, and he would live by them. He's got about 100 of them or so. I've cherry-picked a few of them that I think are really healthy for us to think about and say, I wish I was as future-focused as he was. Here's some of them. Resolved to live with all my might while I do live. While I live, I'm gonna squeeze it with everything. I'm gonna fully throw myself into life. Resolved that I will live so as I shall wish I had done when I come to die. Resolved never to do anything which I should be afraid to do if it were the last hour of my life. Resolved, I will act so as I think I shall judge would have been best and most prudent when I come into the future world. It says, I'm gonna make my decisions now that will help me in the future world, not just giving me an easier day today, but help me in the future world. Resolved to endeavor to obtain for myself as much happiness in the other world as I possibly can with all the power, might, vigor, and vehemence, yea, violence I am capable of or can bring myself to exert in any way that can be thought of. This word violence really throws us off. I understand he didn't have mass shootings back then, all that kind of stuff. Violence also meant in that day not doing physical harm to somebody necessarily, but just like, I'm gonna be intense about this. He said, I wanna grab all that I can and getting all kind of happiness in my future. Extra happiness when I die. Resolved constantly with the utmost niceness and diligence and the strictest scrutiny to be looking into the state of my soul, that I may know whether I have truly an interest in Christ or no, that when I come to die, I may not have any negligence respecting this to repent of. I don't think the average one of us thinks about our death nearly enough. I don't think the average one of us spends 1% of the time thinking about what our existence is going to be like forever in the future and how God is going to reward us in the future versus whether or not I'm going to get a year-end bonus. I don't think the average one of us, we have stress and angst over the problems we have here, and we try to. I don't think we have 1% of the stress, angst, or goal-setting passion for what is going to go on forever and ever and ever as we do the current quarterly earnings report, or as we do even for the next few decades until we retire, or the next couple decades until we die. And I think that's a problem. You and I know that eternity is written on our hearts. You know that. You know that when you die, you are going to want to live on. You believe that. Everyone, when they go to the funeral, they believe that, they want that. And I know that of you. When you go, you're like, oh, he's gone to a better place. I hope she's gone to a better place. Eternity is written in our hearts. The person who comes into a place like this, I don't believe that you believe that all you become is worm food and you're done and done and done. There's something inside of us that believes and longs for something more. And the reason that we do, and this is common with all people in all corners of the globe and all times of history, because God has written eternity on our hearts. Jesus, in the book of Matthew 24, says that we should stay awake, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. But know this, that if the master of the house had known in what part of the night the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and would not have let his house be broken into. Therefore, you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. So all of us will expire. We will either go before God upon death, or some people, I don't know if there's anybody here on the planet right now, but some people at some point in the future history, some people will go before God while they're living, because God says there will be a judgment day. A judgment day that will happen at some point, and this world will irretrievably be altered and changed. One way or another, there will be judgment. And Jesus says, get ready, you don't know what's gonna happen. Could happen with the bus that hits you when you leave here today. Could happen when all of a sudden something crazy spiritual mystic happens and Jesus comes back. And I know this sounds so weird. I know it does. Wait a minute, Jesus coming back? I know. It sounds weird. It sounds really, really weird. It sounds so weird that some of us say we believe that, but we really don't believe that. We really don't live like that actually could happen. We give lip service to it, but we really don't. And a Pew Research poll that was out a few years ago, I think it was like 50% of everybody who is a professing Christian believe that Jesus is going to come back someday, about 50%. And here's a question. If you believe he was going to come back, or if you believe you were going to die at any moment, it'd be the same thing. If he was going to come back tomorrow, or if you're going to die at any moment. Either way, it's the same exact way. You go right before God. How prepared for you are that? How prepared are you for that? For that future, whether a bus or clouds parting, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's in 30 years. How much do you and I think about it and prepare for it? And I think that we should do more of it. Now, part of the reason why the whole thing of Jesus coming back has really been co-opted and sounds just kind of weird is because I gotta tell you, I will out myself. Some of you will really not like me for this. Others of you will your respect for me will go up. I gotta tell you what I hate. I hated the Left Behind novels. Couldn't stand, in fact, read about 2 chapters and I was like, I couldn't stand it. Part of why I don't like it is this whole idea of rapture, of you get sucked out of this world like a canister in a tube at a bank. You just get sucked out, you know. This is based on one verse in the Bible that has all kinds of different grammatical ways that thing could be formatted that would tell us something different. I hear many people who happen to believe in the second coming of Jesus also believe that there will be this sucking out. You'll just be evacuated and the world will be left to go to hell in a handbasket. I gotta tell you, that is not the God I know. I hear people say, oh man, this world's not our home. I just say, yes, it is your home. Yes, it is. It is your home. God created this world for you. He created this world for you. And He wants you and I to take care of this world. He wants you and I to take care of this world. And heaven, at least, if not entirely, at least partially, is gonna be inhabited here on this earth. What do you think, like God started this earth and went, oh my gosh, got so screwed up, I'm just gonna leave you behind. Whew, I'm gonna start some other heaven thing over there. Does He do it with you or I? Does He ever go, oh my gosh, you're so screwed up. Whew, I just gotta move you and go on to Betty Sue over here because you've jacked up your life totally. No, He doesn't do that. He works with you and He redeems you and He works with me and gives forgiveness and tries to kind of prod me along and help me to where I need to come to. And this is the role that He wants His people fulfilling on this planet with all that is wrong, all that is not good in every sector of our country. Just looking forward to be evacuated from this world and leave the problems without engaging is totally against the message of Jesus. Totally against the message of redemption. See, this future thing, as I'm talking about future, I know that I'm talking about something that's really odd. Some of us don't like to set goals for the next year. Some of us can't remember the last time we made New Year's resolutions. Those will be coming up soon. Some of us don't like to set goals on anything in the future, and what we're only comfortable with is looking back. We want to get to know ourselves. And how do we get to know ourselves? By looking backwards, or so we believe. So we have some problems, right? You go to the counselor, and you say, oh, you got this problem, interesting. Tell me about what's been going on the last year of your life. And you tell him, and he goes, interesting. Tell me about college. What took place in your life in college? So you tell him about college, and he goes, interesting. High school, tell me about how were you feeling in high school? What's happening? You tell him about high school, and he goes, interesting. He takes some notes. Junior high, grade school, anything happened back there that would give us clues? And what didn't you tell him about this? Yeah, Jimmy stole my baseball card. Interesting, fascinating. The womb, when you were in the womb, what do you remember back there? Was it like 98.6 degrees, or sometimes it was like 88? I'm all for reflection and understanding that there's things in our past that affect us today, but the fact that we think that our future depends on us understanding our past is part of our problem. Our past does not define our future. The secrets to our future are not in our past. I saw this very clearly just a couple weeks ago. I'm adopted. I was born at a very young age. And I was adopted at birth. And growing up with my parents, so thankful for my parents, they gave me just a great life. But when I looked at my parents, I had a regular reminder that my DNA was not their DNA. It was very regular. There was nothing, we didn't look like each other. My dad's short, got a huge, massive head, ears stick out this way, very smart. I'm taller, my ears are close, and I'm not smart. My mom, valedictorian at her university. I've never been valedictorian at anything. Their values and my values. I have some values because they built them into me, but I regularly would look at my parents and remember reminders that who I am, I can't find much out by looking at them. Like another example, I like tobacco in various forms, virtually all forms I like tobacco. And I gave my dad, when I was like 15 years old, I thought I'm gonna give him a cigar. It'd be cool, a big, massive cigar, I'm gonna give this thing to him. It was a stupid gift. My dad didn't use tobacco at all. I mean, it was stupid. I know, the 15-year-old, that doesn't mean anything, right? Actually, I might have been 14 when I got it for him, something like that. But I gave it to him anyway, and I remember for years just being able to see on that dresser that cigar get drier and drier and drier until it was unusable. And when I looked at that cigar, it was always a reminder to me, yeah, my dad and I, I can't understand myself by looking at him. And then about a year ago, I met my birth mother. I went through the brave journey that we all went through as a church a couple years ago, and I said, this is my brave heading. I want to meet my birth parents. And Ended up meeting her, and man, amazing. She's a follower of Jesus. She's been praying for me for 50 some years. Amazing, amazing. I got together with her, and I'm like, I'm waiting for things to unlock and understanding myself. And there are some similarities. We have a faith that's similar. She's very direct, I'm direct. And that's about it. I'm sitting there, I'm like, doesn't look like me, doesn't talk like me, doesn't value things I value, she has other things I don't value. I'm like, and I got done, I was like, okay, I'm glad, thank God for this woman, and very thankful for her and everything, but I came away going like, I don't think I know myself. This person really hasn't helped me understand myself. And then, 2 weeks ago, I got the opportunity for the very first time to sit down with my birth father. He and my birth mother were, had a thing going while they were in the Air Force. And I finally got to meet him and sit down with him. We had some phone conversations. And before that, I finally got to sit down with him in California. And sat there looking at him. And then after speaking for a while, my wife came over, Libby came over and sat beside me and like watched something. And like, I'm looking at him going, trying to see myself, and I'm like, nothing. I see nothing. I'm looking at mannerisms. I'm hearing about the kind of choice he's made in his life and what he values, and nothing, zero, nothing. I come away, I'm like, it was almost like a crisis. I'm going, my gosh, who the heck am I? My gosh, I'm going, God, how weird am I? And I realized that the problem was, my thought, I've been brainwashed by America to think if you look in your past, you can know what your future is. If you look in your past, you know who you are. And I'll tell you, if you know God, that is utterly false. If you want to live in the past, fine, you can live in the past, and all you'll have is the past. But when you get connected with God, when he gets connected with you, when he gets a hold of your life, all that stuff has been important for you. All that stuff, there can be some learning and some reflection. But I tell you what, that does not define you. Because you are a unique child in the hands of God who is still forming you now. He's still doing a new thing in you now. I was 0 for 4. And I just still feel, I'm thankful for all 4 of those people. Thankful for all of them. But man, when you are future focused and you are allowing God to build you and make you a new person, when you are choosing choices where you are thinking about your future, preparing about your future, the past will become irrelevant to you. The most depressing people are always the people who are about the past. The more depressed you want to be, you just think about your past and you think about yourself, and in the process, you won't have much of a future. The future belongs to those who have a bigger perspective than this world and this place right now. And I am so thankful for some of the choices I've made that are affecting my future. I'm thankful that being future folks, I came to know Christ. I was like, you know what? I'm going to save myself for one woman. I'm going to have sex with one woman in my life. And I have, my wife, Libby. That was a future goal when I was 16 years old, 15 years old. That was a future goal. And my life is the better because of it. And everyone said, oh, you're ridiculous. You can't. And the world, the worldly focus of how sex is operated. Oh, that's who you're hurting. All those people who told me it doesn't work, I wouldn't want any of their relationships, none of them. Take mine any day, any day. When I left for Pittsburgh, Lebanon, to come to Cincinnati to help start Crossroads, we had people who wanted to live in the past. You can't leave Pittsburgh. No, friends and family here, you can't leave Pittsburgh. Like, no, because you don't know there's people over there. We were future focused. Future focused, and our world is different because of this right now. I get people ask me regularly, like, man, but people must be coming after you, like, trying to give you great jobs all the time. Not really. Sometimes, really good ones. And well, the last one that was almost tempting to look at was this Richie Rich church way out in California. I didn't even want to ask what the salary would be, but because I knew it'd be redonkulous out there. People said, "Why can you not look at this?" And I was like, "Why? I'm impacting people's lives here now. I feel like I'm impacting the future now. Why would I, like, just for some different perks, pick up my life and go someplace else? Or who climbs some ladder? I'm not convinced that's how you actually affect the future. We're right now looking into a different house for our families because future focused, we're thinking about what's this mean for extended family, for my in-laws who are having a hard time getting around their house. They need to move in with us. How does that all happen? It's all about the future, where we go in the future. Those questions we can understand, but you realize your future doesn't just include the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. You're my future includes how you spend eternity. I don't mean just if you go to heaven. I mean what you do in heaven. I mean what you have in heaven. I mean different pleasures that you may have in heaven. Everyone who gets to heaven has complete joy, complete bliss, no jealousy with anybody. Everyone is one with God. And there's very, very clear passage, very, very clear, that says how you live right now will determine the level of treasures and rewards that you have in heaven. Jesus himself said, where your treasure is, store up treasures in heaven. Don't store up treasures where moth and rust come in, but actually store up treasures in heaven. Now, why would he say that? Because you can have treasures in heaven. That's why. They're like, oh, what's the hidden meaning behind this? The meaning is there's different treasures that you can have in heaven. And you can focus on those that will never go out of style, that will never rust, that will never, and whatever those are, or you and I can focus on the things that are here right now. In the book of Matthew, chapter 6:20, it says, store up for yourselves treasure in heaven. I just read that one. There you go. 1 Corinthians 13:12-15. Check this one out. Now, if anyone builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, each one's work will become manifest. For the day will disclose it. The day, capital D, this always means the judgment day. The judgment day, whether it's you when you die there or God interrupting here, that day will disclose it because it will be revealed with fire. And the fire will test what sort of work each one has done. If the work that anyone has built on the foundation survives, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, though he himself will be saved, but only as through the fire. It says that all of us are building things in our lives. Some of us are building things that are made of granite. They're just granite, like rock solid. Poof, it's just there, granite. Others of us have got these really cool houses, but they're tinder houses. Thatch roofs. Went up quick, looks great, maybe comfortable, but man, the least bit of wind and fire, bam, it collapses. Fire is a metaphor for judgment. Fire is how God refines. He refines, he destroys things in our life that are impure, and that leaves the purity, the great stuff that's left. And so what that's saying, that verse is saying is, everyone who knows Jesus, who've come to him because Jesus died so we didn't have to die forever. Jesus died for me so that he could be my sense of justice and not me earning God's favor. So anybody who comes to Christ, your past, it's forgiven. It's a non-issue for him. Really, it's a big deal for you, and maybe you needed to go counseling for it. Maybe you do. But it's a non-issue for him. You say, like, well, wait a minute. I did. Non-issue handled on the cross. Yeah, but you know that one time, that's right. That's why it was so painful on the cross. Yeah, but non-issue. You dig into all you want, but just, you know, God really doesn't care. It's settled for him. Doesn't stand between him and you. It's crazy. It's called the grace of God. So all of us, because of that, can get to heaven. But some of us, most of us, however many of us, based on how we live, when we get to heaven, the rewards just aren't the same. I don't know what they are. I don't know what the metaphor is here. I don't know what it is. I just know some of us are going to have a much, much more, I don't know what the right word is, intense, more enjoyable, more rich existence, more, I don't know, but more treasures, more rewards there. Because some of us are going to get into heaven because like we just got singed. Like the fire came and it's like singed us all and took off our pubes. Just boom, just gone. Like, whoo, I just got in. Like I got like nothing. I don't know why I said pubes, but just took it all off. Why did I say it? Because it's fun to say. That's why I said, woo, I'm in. Like, but I got like nothing. I got like me. I got like nothing else. Others of us, things we're doing, man, no, you're storing some stuff up. I believe that everyone brought a Thanksgiving food drive box back. Not only do you feel good right now, not only might God cause something to break for you this week or this lifetime, I believe there is a unique reward for saying, I want to give somebody Thanksgiving and a really extravagant meal who couldn't afford it for themselves. I believe that. I believe that when someone builds into children, because Jesus loves kids. He had kids around him all the time. When someone is a regular volunteer in Kids Club, I believe that God's like, got some special goodies stored up for you. Got some special rewards stored up for you. I believe that when you go to a neighbor who you know is lonely and may be alone at Thanksgiving, and you knock on that door and you reach out to them in love and you just talk to them, maybe invite them over your place, I'm telling you that brings something alive in the heart of God. That causes him to store up for you something that is in heaven. Jesus says that God is a spiritual capitalist. He's not a spiritual socialist. I'm not making an economic policy decision. I'm just saying we know socialism, we know capitalism in terms of economic theory. Socialism, everyone should get the same, right? Capitalism, no, it's based on kind of what you're doing here. Jesus says very clearly, that there is spiritual capitalism in heaven. He says, store up. Store up. What's he trying? He's trying to motivate us. Some of us are like, we're spiritual socialists. We're like, oh, that sounds dirty. I wouldn't do that. Why would all these verses exist? Let me give you another one, Matthew 6:20. Excuse me, not Matthew 6:20. I'm out of order here, excuse me. Where is that one? I had one. I think I just deleted. There's one. Luke 6:22. Blessed are you when people hate you, and when they exclude you, and they revile you, and they spurn your name as evil on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven. Guess what? If everyone loves you in this world, if everyone thinks that your values are right, guess what? They're wrong. Because the world's values and heaven's values are oftentimes completely opposites. And when everyone's approving of all of your decisions you're making, God's like, yeah, a lot of hay down there. A lot of hay. But when you start having people be critical of decisions you make, ways you're going because of your future, and you start to get some grief, maybe a sign there's unique rewards coming. Jesus talks about the parable of the talents, the parable of the minas, 2 different times. It's the earliest recording of investment banking in all of written history. And he basically says, God gives to people more stuff who are faithful what he gives them. In fact, on one account, what he says is, I'm gonna put you in charge of 10 cities. What's that mean? Perhaps there's leaders, godly leaders in heaven. And based on how we've proven to be faithful here, that impacts us when we are there. See, I don't think the problem is that we're hedonistic. I think we should be hedonistic. I think we should be all about pleasure. I think the problem is our pleasure isn't enough future focused. The problem is we're focused on our pleasure this weekend. The problem is I'm focused on my pleasure this life. Where God gives us all this data, because he's saying, come on, I got a bigger thing for you. Come on, this could be a different one for you. Come on, be about glory in the future glory. One of my favorite places to vacation, it's not my favorite place to vacation any longer, is Key West. Man, Key West was Key West in the mid-'80s when I was going. That was awesome. I went to Key West a few years ago. Key West right now is like Myrtle Beach South. It is like nothing. You went to Key West in the 80s, my goodness, you're stepping into a time warp with a completely different, it was very, very fascinating. I enjoyed it. We used to go down in college and drive all night and the next day and then all night again and it was really good stuff. And that time where we went, in the mid-'80s, everyone was talking about Mel Fisher. Mel Fisher was searching for the Atocha, a Spanish galleon ship in 1722 that had sunk with millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, gold bonds, goblets, jewelry, so people believed. He took his family and they focused on the future of finding this thing. Every day they would go out and everyone looked at their decisions and said, you're crazy. I don't know what you're thinking. No one's going to be there. How are you thinking this stuff? And every day, and they had a sign that was above their door after they would fill their tanks and out of the boat, the last thing to say a sign is, today's the day. Today's the day. They would go every day like, today is the day. Today's the day we hit it. And for 16 years, over and over and over and over until July 22nd, 1985, the day happened. They hit the largest haul ever, $400 million worth of gold, ingots, goblets, all kinds of stuff. They recovered it. And every day said, this is the day. This is the attitude of every spiritually successful person. This is the attitude. Everybody who is going to have great reward in heaven forever. forever and ever and ever. You every day say, this could be the day. And it's not a bondage. It's like, oh no, I might die today. No, I just sober-mindedly, what am I great to do today? That if my life ends, then I'll be happy I did that today. And it might be go to the beach that day. God says take vacations. He does. This isn't like this, oh, life's got to be hard, really hard. No, but I'll tell you what, some things I could have right now, I don't have right now. Because man, my thing, I'm storing up. I'm storing up. This is the more future focused you become, the more potent your life will become, the more joyful your life will become, and the more mind-blowing your eternity will be forever. Before I pray, I'm gonna invite out the bands at all of our site. We're gonna sing the song again we did earlier called "The Glory to Glory." Glory is the future, how God glorifies and makes us pure, and we get all the splendor and wonder of whatever may be in heaven. And I want that for you, and that's why we did this series. Let me pray for you before we sing this song. God, your ways are beyond our ways, and we recognize it and we embrace it. And we also want the most of this life that it has to offer, and we want the most of the next life. So God, in the quietness of this place, would you convict us of something that has to change? Would you affirm us for something we're doing right? We set our eyes on you, God, and we set our eyes on the future of glory. Amen.
You guys stand with us?
Created from dust, you came in, you lived among us. Now you're taking us higher. You stepped into time. You laid down your life to save us. You took all our shame. On the cross it was laid. Now you're taking us higher. We go from glory to glory to glory. We'll never be the same. We'll never be the same. We go from glory to glory to glory. We're forever changed, forever changed. You call me your friend, brought into your endless kingdom. By the blood I was made, no longer a slave. Now you're taking us higher. We go from glory to glory to glory. We'll never be the same. We'll never be the same. We go from glory to glory to glory. We're forever changed, forever changed. Until we reach that day. Love conquers everything. Anthem singing holy, holy. And when we see that day, we're standing face to face. We'll shout an anthem singing holy, oh, until we reach that day. Love conquers everything. We'll cry an anthem singing holy, holy. And when we see that day, we'll shout an anthem singing holy, holy, yeah. Oh.
Guys, thank you so much for being here this weekend. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to bring, don't forget Thanksgiving Eve service this coming Wednesday. See you guys then.
Say